Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. And today's video, I decided to be raw, uncut, and give you a really personal inside look of who I am, me behind everything, things I'm about to tell you guys. Some friends don't know, parents don't know. Just really give you a good inside scoop of who I am behind everything, behind my smile, behind my pain, behind everything. It gives you, this is going to give you a look of who I am. So, yesterday, um, or should I say this morning, about maybe 4 o'clock, I kind of had like a breakdown, meltdown, I guess you can say. Um, just because, like, for the last 2 weeks, I just been so overwhelmed, so drained mentally, physically, emotionally. I've just been drained, and I broke down and I prayed, and so today I woke up and I did my little pin up today, and tried something new with my lipstick, and I said, well, let me look through some of my poems because I haven't been writing. I think the last time I actually really wrote a poem was probably in 2010. So it's been 2 years since the last time I actually like really, really wrote a poem. So to get to the video, the topic of the video, I'm the oldest on both sides, mother and father. I'm the first grandchild. Being the oldest had a lot of pros and a lot of cons at the same time. Reason being is because growing up, I had aunts, uncles, and cousins, and we were literally the same age. I think the oldest was probably 2 years older than me, and the youngest was probably about 3 to 4 years younger. My cousins and my aunts, we were all the same age. We were all, my mom, my grandmother, and my aunt was pregnant at the same time. So we were born within the same year, months apart. And yeah, these are my aunt, uncles, and cousins. So, anyways, the pros to being the oldest was that I was alone. I wasn't necessarily spoiled, but I just was automatically have like that protective, motherly. We had a bond. Me and my mother had a bond because I was the only one. The cons about it was growing up in a house where everybody has siblings. Everybody had somebody to depend on, go to, talk to. I had nobody. So a lot of my childhood, um, I was in my room. I had a little kitchen set, and I remember being in my room, locking my stuff up in my room, and I would go to my happy place. Some people might call it having an imaginary friend or whatever, but I was able to separate um, the loneliness that I felt being the only child, growing up in a house where I had to fight or I got blamed for a lot because I had nobody on my side to say, no, she didn't do this, or yes, she did. So I got blamed for a lot of stuff. I fought all of them. So yeah, I found comfort within myself. I would lock myself in my room and I would play for like hours. You know, um, I remember at a young age just being so happy, by myself. It when I was by myself, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel different. I didn't feel like a black sheep. I could be me. And at that time, and I'm talking about being younger than 9. At that time, knowing that I was different, knowing that I was a black sheep, knowing that it was something special. Now I say it's something special, but back then I was just so upset, about a lot of stuff. Um, Not really having a voice, like I said, being an only child. Um, it bothered me a lot. So when I got into high school, I checked myself into anger management, and that's something that a lot of people don't know. I checked myself into anger management at school. Um, and even though I wasn't angry in the sense of acting out, having sex, stealing, breaking things, using drugs, things like that, I realized that I was a hurt little girl. I remember not wanting to get mad or not wanting to get hurt because my chest would hurt so bad. And going through therapy, I realized that I was actually having panic attacks. Mind you, I'm in well, not necessarily, not even high school, like intermediate type thing, having panic attacks, not knowing what it means. I just knew that I had to calm myself down. So I began writing and I began singing, and that was my outlet because I was too old to have imaginary friends. I wasn't in the house anymore, so I felt good. So instead of locking myself up, I still did stay in my room a lot, and I actually still do it now. I'm a really big fan of my room. That's like my comfort. Instead of locking myself up and having imaginary friends, I would write. Um, if I needed something to say, if I had something to say to my mother, I remember one time writing her a note and just letting her know how I feel, and I left it on the floor on purpose, and I went to school because I knew she was gonna read it. I remember it being like the yellow notebook paper, like the folder, the little binder thing, and I remember writing her a note and leaving it on the floor, and I remember her reading it, and I remember her crying. I don't even remember what I wrote in the letter. All I knew was that I was sad a lot when I was growing up. You know what I'm saying? And it was hard because when you are the only child, you don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? You don't have someone to talk to, someone to understand. And the fact that I was the black sheep and still am, the fact that I didn't know how to deal with a lot of stuff. I didn't understand a lot. So I began writing, and today I stumbled across a letter or a poem that I wrote entitled "Finding Me." Um, Once I started to understand some more things about myself, I decided to go like on a little journey. I met a friend that kind of introduced me to the world of homosexuality. I'm not gonna say introduce me, but help me understand it more. Help me understand my feelings that I was going through. Brief history on that. I had two associates. Well, one was a friend, one was an associate, and they were like best friends to me. We hung out, things like that. And then one day, they came out and told me they was a couple, and I was like, okay, well, I am too, because I felt so comfortable. It wasn't forced. It wasn't nothing. I just felt so comfortable at an age where everybody around me was having sex. Now I'm talking about being in high school. Everybody around me is having sex and liking boys. Um, yeah, I liked boys. It was one. It was two in particular that I liked. It was. I can't remember how to say this, but it was my best friend's brother and a neighborhood guy, boy, because we just like the same age. The neighborhood boy was my first kiss, and I remember it, and he remembers it. We had a conversation about this actually this year, and I can't believe he remembered it. And it was so funny because he remembered things that I don't remember, and I remember things that he don't remember. But anyways, and then it was my best friend's brother. They became my best friend. Like I was over their house all the time, and I felt comfort with him. He was super cool, and it was like a sexual thing, but I could never physically go all the way. It was kind of like, and I was called a teaser when I was younger. But anyway, back to okay. So my friends. when they told me that, I was not shocked. I wasn't upset. I wasn't taken back by it. I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm gay too. So when that happened, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of like I was in a secret society or some shit because, um, you we're young. It's, I mean, in my family, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know nothing about it until it happened. And I'm not talking about like, okay, I kissed a girl. It was none of that. I was literally just friends with two people who went together, and I was 110% for it. I didn't feel anything wrong with it. I felt so natural with it. So then I started to explore it. So I was maybe like around 15, and I talked to my first girl at that time, and she was about 18. At an early age, I knew that I didn't want to do the whole secret thing. I remember my little sister being born, and I was giving her a bath, and she probably was about maybe two, because we was in the house that I'm in now. So she was a baby still, and I remember giving her a bath on the phone and closing the door, the water running, and I'm trying to have a conversation with this girl. My mom walks in, and I changed the subject, and I remember on her end of the phone having the same thing, and just now getting into it, you don't, when you talk to a person on the phone, you don't give a person a set gender. It's never he, she, nothing. So the outside person listening to the conversation, you don't know if I'm talking to a girl or a guy. You don't know if I'm talking about a girl or a guy. And it was easy and it was cool, but I knew I knew I didn't want it. Maybe because when I was younger, I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a voice. I was living with a grandparent that would talk about you in your face, regardless if you was there or not, and talk about your parents, downgrade them, and I couldn't do anything because you're taught to respect your elders. And as I grew up, realizing that I was going through panic attacks and then transitioning from becoming a young adult and then knowing that I want to be able to talk to you and not have boundaries, not have a limit to what I want to say. So I remember coming out at I think almost being 16, and when that happened, it opened so many doors for me. I was happy, like even though I was still secretly battling a lot of things in my own personal life, in my heart, it opened a lot. I felt so happy when I came out. So, anyways, November the 8th, 2006, I wrote a poem called Finding Me. I'm assuming I already told everybody. I'm not sure because I don't remember. I have a terrible memory. But, anyways, like I said, the poem is entitled Finding Me. And it says, sorry, I never had it easy, yet I never had it too rough. To everyone else, I seemed to have it all, yet I found myself lost inside of a never ending tunnel of thoughts. My thoughts turned into small acts of movement in an attempt to find who I was and what I represented. A part of me was afraid of what I would find, but another part of me ached for what I may discover within myself. My attempts sometimes failed in a sense of never actually being happy with what it was I was after. Strangely, with each failed attempt, I began slowly unlocking the doors that led to my undiscovered happiness. Looking for who I was wasn't the problem. Finding me was the hardest part to undergo. Constantly going over ways to express my true feelings and not knowing what to expect once I found the words I needed to allow myself to finally be free. These words stayed trapped within my heart because I thought in time it would go away. Sadly mistaken, I was wrong. These words needed to be expressed, and it was I that needed to release them. So I did. Once I built up the strength to allow myself to be exposed, I found myself happy, satisfied, and proud because I finally found myself finding me. And this is a poem I wrote. And it's not long, but it's long. And I wrote that in '06. That it was 6 years ago. November the 8th. And today is November the 10th, I think. Yeah, November the 10th. So that was literally 6 years and 2 days ago. Um, so just imagine being a 16-year-old and being able to write something like that, and I never took it that seriously until now. Like going back and reading that today, I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Imagine being 15, 16 years old and just knowing that you're unhappy, knowing that you're different, knowing that regardless of what you try to do to make people happy, regardless of how much you try to hold stuff in, regardless of how strong you try to be, you only hurt yourself. And I discovered that when I was maybe like 12. When I was going through panic attacks by myself, when I was in my imaginary world by myself, when I was fighting myself. I never harmed myself, anything like that. But I was hurting myself. I never physically harmed myself, but I was hurting myself because I didn't have a voice. I At one point I didn't think that I was worth anything because I was so different. I didn't have I said I didn't have my sister. My sister wasn't born until I was 14. So from maybe 6 to 14, going through life, not having nobody to depend on you, not having nobody to look up to you, not having nobody to say, this is my sister, having nobody to fight for. I had to fight for myself for years. And it bothers me now. And my significant other doesn't understand my reasons. And she just thinks that maybe because my exes. And I'm like, it's way past that. I want to live in a world like I did when I was little, in my imaginary world, where there was no boundaries, where there was no limits, to where I had a happy place. I was able to say what I wanted, to be who I wanted to be. Um, the fact that at the age of 6 years ago, I was able to say that, and not only say it, but believe it and do it. I did it. And now that I'm 23, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to having to hide, to having to feel like I'm not worth it or I'm not wanted. And that's how I felt when I was younger. I I was hurt a lot when I was younger. Um I wasn't emotional. I wasn't a crybaby, but instead I held it in. And like I said, I had panic attacks and things like that. So now that I'm older, I'm like, I'll be damned if anybody brings me back to that place. I am better than that. I'm stronger, and I know I am. So it pisses me off, when I keep telling somebody, this is what I want. I don't want to do this, you know, and you don't listen to me because you only see me one way. You know what I'm saying? You only see me as being strong, silly Kiea. And a lot of people don't understand that I wasn't always so positive. I wasn't always so confident. I wasn't always so sure who I was, who I am. You know what I'm saying? I had to teach myself a lot. And my mother was and still is an amazing woman. But from the time that I can remember, my mom always worked 2 to 10. So a lot of things I had to get myself out of. I had to teach myself a lot. Um, I was going through so much as a kid. They thought, and nobody really knows this, but I don't even remember how long, maybe a few months. They considered me as being like LD, because I wasn't talking that much, and I was so smart. But even now, I was shut down, meaning that I was just like, I'm over it. You know what I'm saying? So they put me, well, they gave me like tests and things like that. And they were just trying to like give me like the trial phases of being an LD or whatever. And like I passed all the tests with flying colors, and I didn't, obviously I didn't be in the class, but I got myself out of that. Just a lot of stuff people don't know that I've been through that stemmed from me just holding in a lot of stuff. So now I'm really like, when I'm in a relationship, I don't want to have to hide. I don't want to have to be half of who I am, because that brings me back to a place that I don't ever want to go back to. And it hurts me. It hurts. It hurts my feelings. It hurts my pride. It hurts everything. And when you go through something like that as a child, it sticks with you regardless if you think it's over with or not. It sticks with you. And when I'm in a relationship and I feel that I have to hide, I feel like I can't be myself, if I feel like I don't have a happy place within myself, within a relationship, within the home, I have to remove myself from it. And yeah. And most of the time in my relationship, it happens pretty much at the 2 year mark. Is when the honeymoon phase is over with, you start to say, okay, evaluate some stuff. I'm not gonna lie, I have an amazing girlfriend. Like, I love her, but we both have issues. I don't know her issues per se, but I know mine's, and I'm working on mine's. And it's hard to separate your past from your present and your future. I know that I don't want to be in a world where I have boundaries, especially not in a relationship. I don't want to have boundaries. And it's hard when you love someone who lives within boundaries, you know, because I don't want to go back to that place, you know. I don't want to go. That was like a nightmare. And I'm not going to say like my childhood wasn't good, because I had a good childhood in a sense of I had my mother, my father, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my grandparents. But within that, I had myself. So a lot of things growing up, I taught myself. So in a lot of areas, I'm strong, you know, and that's why I want to be an entrepreneur, because I'm so used to dealing with things on my own. If I don't like something, I taught myself how to do it. I taught myself how to do makeup. I taught myself how to do a lot. And the fact that at the age of 16, I could write it down on paper how I felt, and express myself was amazing accomplishment. And that's why I honor myself. That's why I put myself so high on a pedestal, because I know what I've been through. I know it, and it's it's like a blessing. So that's why now when I smile, I'm smiling for real. Because when I was younger, I would smile because that was my shield. That was my cover up. Because I wasn't a crybaby. I used humor a lot. You know, I would brush things off as humor, but I was holding a lot of stuff in. So I would joke about it, hee hee ha ha. But a lot of stuff hurt me. So when I used to smile, sometimes I wasn't smiling because I was happy. You know, some people say you smile to keep tears away. Sometimes that's what I was doing. So now, you know, I'm talking about this and I'm smiling because I made it through it. You know, and people be like, well, they don't see that side of me. Nobody sees it because I don't want them to see it. It's my past. And maybe I need to show it and express it more. And maybe I need to address the people in my past that have hurt me or damaged me. Because I consider myself as being damaged goods. I gave myself that title 2 years ago. I consider myself being damaged goods. And you know, it's just I'm happy where I'm at, where I've been, but I always have my dark moments sometimes. And I realized that this last past year, like since I turned 22, I found out two life changing things that nobody really knows about, and I'm not gonna share it just yet, but I found out two life changing things, and I'm trying to deal with it. I'm trying to find ways to deal with it, but I find myself slowly reverting back to who I was. Like I'm physically so tired when I know I have 6 hours, 7, 8 hours of sleep, but I'm physically tired. Um, my spirits are high one minute and then it's low. My attitude is good and then it's bad. I'm all for something and then I shut down. You know what I'm saying? And when I shut down, I shut down. It's no phones, no texts, no nothing. I'm in my box and nobody can reach me. So I use my music and I use my writing and I use prayer to get me through a lot of things. And I need to address a lot of things because time is ticking. Time is ticking. People are getting sick. People are dying. And I need to address everyone. So maybe this video is my first step. I don't know if I'm going to post it or not. I think I will. But yeah, it's a look inside of who I am, behind the smile and behind everything. Everyone has a story. So never judge a book by its cover. Never take your being different as a bad thing. Back then, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with being different. I didn't know what to do with being the biggest one in my family. I didn't know how to deal with it. And as you can see, I'm not that big, but growing up where people look different, act different, felt differently, had somebody to depend on. I had nothing but myself and my imagination, and knowing at a young age that I was better, that I was meant to do something more than what I'm doing. I didn't enjoy being held down. So most of the time when I do shut down, it don't last that long. Um, because I always feel like I'm better than this. And I don't know. I just somehow always manage to build myself back up. So that's why I take a lot of things that I do so seriously. When I do put my mind to do it, I could do anything because I got myself out of so much. Um, so yeah, I just I'm still finding me because I'm only 23 and I wrote that when I was 16. So I'm still finding myself. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still dealing with my own stuff. Eventually, I feel that it will work out for me. And I hope you guys are watching and rooting for me because I'm really seriously feeling like I am being tested in every way. And a lot of people say that you can't fully move on until you close the chapters in your past. So I guess my foot is in the door, but I need to close the my past. So starting today with this video, um, I will post many more to come. I intend on having conversations with the people from my past who have hurt me, people in my present that has helped me, and just really move on. Just let it go, move on. Because at the end of the day, me holding stuff in or me feeling some kind of way, it's not gonna do anything but hurt myself. And I've learned that when I was like 14, 13, 12. So you guys, I hope that by me having my little breakdown moment, that maybe something that maybe you see something in me that you can relate to. And if you can, please feel free to leave a comment, like, even subscribe to my channel. You don't have to, but I ask for you to, because like I said, this is a journey I'm finding myself, and I feel like the best thing that I can do to help you all is to help you help yourself. So, like I said, never feel like you're alone. Take your imperfections and make it perfection. I always say I'm perfectly imperfect. Um, so yeah, I take my curves and everything that has made me so different that I hated when I was little. I love it. I love it. Everything that bothered me when I was younger has molded me to a beautiful, educated black woman. And I just want to share that with you guys, especially anybody that's in my situation, young adults, teens. If you don't know who you are, what you want to do, where you're going, know that you're not alone. Know that everybody has a backstory. Never judge a book by its cover. And whatever your coping mechanism is, use it. I don't I don't encourage drugs and violence, but I do encourage creativity, um, self expression, and freedom of speech. I do encourage all that kind of stuff. Like I said on my 2012 election video at the end, if you watch my little credits, it says I support equality, not stupidity. So anything that's positive, anything that, even if you feel like there's something that I could do to help deal with things I'm going through besides writing and singing, please feel free to let me know, comment. I do pay attention and I do really appreciate it. So again, I hope that you enjoyed my video. Follow me on Twitter at lady_lady89 and stay tuned to more of my videos.